So I'm going to start with a little excerpt from my novel, The Miraculous True History of Nomi Ali. The section I'll read is from the point of view of the prisoner, who is unnamed in the book. We just know her as Prisoner 218D, and she's actually the first character that I wrote, not just for the book, but for any novel, because this novel, as I'm sure we'll discuss, took me over 26 years to write, and the prisoner was actually my first character. So this chapter is called The Long Walk, and the year is 1936, and she has just arrived as a prisoner on the Andaman Islands. So this is The Long Walk. The long walk up to the jail is the prisoner's hardest one yet. Like buffalo herders, the police brandish their batons, smacking the dirt and the hides of prisoners who fall behind. Prisoner 218D counts every step. Step 1. She is on trial in Lahore on the British Indian mainland. 2 months ago, perhaps? Step 2. Men had come to her after her arrest, all in black hats with wide black bands. The words they spoke to each other hang heavier than the chains she gathers now on her way to the jail. Step 3. Before the SS knows she is tossed in an airless enclosure. Her hands find refuge in the cracks of cold brick where the clay is soft. Her mother had eaten clay when pregnant with her, believing it would make the delivery easier. As the prisoner waits for her own sentence, she wonders whether eating this soil, her soil, would ease the delivery. She tries to laugh, but finds no appetite for clay or comedy. Step 4. How small the revolver had felt in her hands. Step 5. She is charged with conspiracy to wage war against the king and awarded the maximum penalty, transportation. Before leaving, she licks the brick. Step 6. Step 10. The prisoner is being weighed. By law, she can only be transported if her weight is acceptable. The warden who pushes her onto the scales checks twice before pushing her off with a grunt. Next, the warden pushes into her hands a blunt pencil and 2 sheets of paper, saying that if she needs to write any letters, she should do so now. Step 17, step 20. How long is now? She wants to cherish those who love her still, to give them perfect words. In the courthouse had sat her mother with a face like a cloud on the morning after a heavy rain. The prisoner has spent her life following the sun behind it. If she is never to see the face again, what is there to see? 2 sheets of paper, rough and unlined, for the most important words ever said. Step 38. The warden returns with a striped uniform and 2 blankets. She takes away the pages. 1 word, cries the prisoner. Let me write just 1. But she has missed her chance and is forced into a courtyard where several men and 3 women stand in file, all carrying the same 2 blankets and striped clothes. Their ankles are bound in iron fetters. They are handcuffed in pairs. They are each given a string with a wooden tag. Hers says 218D. Step 50. Women are put with men on the train. There is singing. The lyrics are by poets her father loved. Bismil, Akhtar Shirani. For her father, every funeral, festival, or summer rain was an occasion to recite poetry. She can hear his voice, and in this way, he is still alive, and in this way, so is she. Step 60, step 70, step 85. A week passes in Calcutta jail as more prisoners arrive from across India. When they walk 4 miles to the port before being thrown into the lower hold of the SS Noor, the prisoner is shackled to a woman who hums. The woman has tried to embrace her, whispering, "My child." Though it shames the prisoner to think it, truth is the woman stinks. Before the journey is over, she fears she will end up hating those whose dignity she tried to secure when free. The voiceless and faceless, sick and forgotten, she will hate them all. She is startled by her mistake. Were this a journey she could return? Step, how long is now? She feels her own flesh, tracing the contours of her own mouth, her own cheek. She tries to listen to the sea. She tries to let herself be rocked by the foul stranger and her twin, the foul sea. She tries to remember colors, sunlight, the breezes that tease the crops of open fields. She tries to catch new rain on her tongue. She tries to remember the song of the koel. She tries to forget what she has left. This effort to remember and to forget comes like the waves she cannot hear but can feel they are there under her chains. If she could look outside just once. The men in the hold have discovered a small hole. They have been taking turns standing before it since before the ship even left the port, watching the shoreline dissolve. There are whispers that a fisherman in a tiny boat is following their ship from the clock tower all the way out to the open sea. The fisherman is their size and struggle, their weakness and will. When he disappears, a few men cry. The woman she is shackled to refuses to budge, so the two lie together on the floor. A feathery light falls on the woman's profile and there is pus on her face. Still she hums, a songbird with boils. The door to the hold opens. Garish light washes over them. Those who are not political prisoners are escorted up to the deck for air. The woman she is bound to is not a political prisoner, but because of her, they both must stay. Perhaps it is for this reason that she drags her more frequently down a step behind them to a shallow pit. The latrine on the train to Calcutta was a wild rose by comparison. The food is always the same. Stale rice, dry beans, a rock of sugar. When the songbird sucks the sugar, she purrs more loudly, and now the prisoner longs to lay her head on the bunk of that fat neck. What a delicious nest the filthy folds of her skin would make. Instead, the prisoner cocks her head and listens. Naro puttar, sajana. The prisoner concentrates, willing his kind, repulsive creature to say it again. Naro puttar, sajana. The prisoner begins to hear the cadences of Auntie Hanan, her neighbor in Lahore. Many lifetimes ago, Auntie Hanan played a tampura after morning prayers. Ma, sa, sa, sa. She would face the rising sun through her ceiling to floor window, resting her chin upon the instrument's long neck. After she had plucked the fourth and most resonant string, a koel would answer, always from the same branch of a laburnum tree. Step 100. And who was that girl who looked at her as she made her way to the summit? That poor child, she looked just like herself. Prisoner 218D takes a step back. She can see them, the gates of the jail through which she must pass. Surely the wall will crumble beneath the weight of all that grotesque metal. Surely no man could have envisioned such monstrosity. A keening starts to rise from the prisoners ahead and behind her. Naro puttar sajana. Don't cry, child, beloved one. Ma sa sa sa. It was an old tampura with a gold pattern down the long neck and 4 languid sky-opening notes. Thank you.